I'm back with another long form, and this time I'm going to teach you how to identify birds on your own. I put together a 5-step method to help you figure out what birds you're seeing. Now, I can't guarantee that you'll be able to identify every bird every time with this method, but I can guarantee that it will make you the coolest person in your friend group. And that's not just because you're the only person in your friend group. Now, the only thing you really need to identify birds is your eyes and Google, but I highly recommend having a field guide. I specifically use the Peterson Field Guide to Birds of North America. Peterson field guides are fantastic and I highly recommend them. They're easy to understand as a beginner and they have all the information you need to identify a bird. And no, this is not an ad. I wish it were because then I'd be getting paid for it. If you can't get a hold of a field guide, though, you can always use Google or allaboutbirds.org or the Merlin app. I just prefer a field guide because it's easiest for my brain to figure out. Also, having binoculars or a camera are super helpful. They're not necessary, but it's way easier to identify a bird if you can get a close look at it or freeze it in a frame so that you can identify it later. Now let's get to identifying birds. I'm going to be teaching you the wings method, which is a method that I made up from my brain all by myself with a little help from my mom. Stop yelling. I'm trying to film. I'm going to tell you the 5 steps and then we'll go over each one in detail, and at the end we'll practice identifying a few birds using the method. So the 5 steps are: where is it, important details, notice what it's doing, general colors, and size and shape. And it doesn't matter what order you do these in, but I'm going to explain them in the order that I think will be easiest for you guys to follow. And I will note that some birds are just really hard to tell apart from each other, so don't be hard on yourself. This takes practice. And even some really great birders, like myself, have not been able to identify birds sometimes. Practice makes perfect, and I have faith in you. Also, are you taking notes? You might want to take notes. I would suggest taking notes. Let's talk about size and shape, because size matters, and don't let anyone fool you into thinking it doesn't. But in all seriousness, size is really important to note when you're identifying a bird, because you can say you saw a black bird, but size is what's going to differentiate between a crow, a raven, a grackle, and a cowbird. The best way to figure out size is to get yourself some yardsticks. Yardsticks are a couple of birds that you know pretty well that you can measure all the other birds up against. This will vary based on where you are in the world, but the ones I use are sparrow, robin, crow, and goose. And it can be really hard to judge size, especially if the bird is on its own, so don't be too hard on yourself. You got this. So for example, you see a black bird. These are the options in my area. The blackbird you saw is bigger than a sparrow, but smaller than a crow. It's kind of robin-sized. And now you've cut your options in half just based on size. Shape is something that's going to grow with your skills. Someday you'll be noticing the shape of the tail, the bill, and the wings. But right now, I just want you to focus on the general body shape. Is it short and squat like a duck? Is it tall and slender like a heron? Does it just look like every single other little songbird? And if you stick with this, someday you'll be able to get really detailed and really specific, and you'll know if something is part of the blackbird or the flycatcher or the warbler family. But right now, it's totally fine to say it was small and plump and had really long legs. It sounds like a shorebird. But if you can recognize certain groups of birds, that's great too. You can say it was duck-shaped, it looked like a sandpiper, it looked like a hawk, it was seagull-shaped. Again, just do your best. Moving on to general colors, these are the 1 to 3 colors you see right away when you look at a bird. For example, a cardinal is red, a crow is black, a robin is gray and orange, eastern towhees are black, white, and orange, black-capped chickadees are black, white, and gray. And for a bird with multiple colors, it is helpful to note where the colors are on the bird. For example, with the robin, it's gray above, orange below. And you'll note that the chickadees have this buffy color on their sides too, but we're trying to keep it simple and easy, so we're not getting too complicated yet. These are the general colors. The next step is where is it? This is the habitat that you saw the bird in. It's also important to know what country and region you're in, but I'm going to assume you already know that. And this doesn't have to be on the 7th bough of a white pine 2 miles into a mixed deciduous and coniferous forest. I mean, if you can do that, that's great. It can be as simple as in a field, on the beach, at my feeder, in a tree. Why am I in the sun? Is this sun getting hard to see? Can you see me? Hopefully. Ooh, a butterfly. can be really helpful because certain birds stick to certain habitats. You don't really see a woodpecker hopping in the sand at the beach. The next step is notice what it's doing. A bird's behavior can sometimes be the key to identifying it. Is it wading in the water? Is it hopping on the ground? Is it walking on the ground? Is it climbing a tree? Is it swimming? Is it eating at your bird feeder? And if so, is it sitting at your bird feeder eating, or is it flying back and forth? If it's walking, how does it walk? Does it walk really slowly and deliberately, or is it running really, really fast like a sandpiper? Does it bob its head or maybe flick its tail? Does it hold its tail cocked up like a wren does? Does it dart around looking for insects? There are so many things a bird can be doing. Notice them. I feel like this sun's becoming a problem now. The next step is important details. Birders know these as field marks. They're often referred to as trademarks of nature. These are the little things that set one bird apart from another. And this is the hardest step, I apologize, but it is important. There's one bird that's referred to as all field mark because it's so easy for people to recognize. It's the bald eagle. If you see a bird flying with a white head and a white tail, you immediately know it's a bald eagle. A field mark can be anything really. It can be a spotted, streaked, or plain breast. It can be the color of the legs. It can be a cap. It can be an eyebrow. It can be anything. It can be easy to see, or it can be the tiniest little detail, and birds can have one or many field marks. Can you please stop yelling while I'm trying to speak? Thank you. So you saw a gray bird, but what's the thing that's different between these two gray birds? The gray catbird has a dark cap. That's a field mark. The northern mockingbird has white wing patches. I'm serious, man. Light eyes and white outer tail feathers. Here are some examples of some field marks. The double breast bands of the killdeer. The white patches in the wings of the common nighthawk. The red cap of the pileated woodpecker, the forked tail of the barn swallow, the black necklace of the blue jay, the bold eyebrow of the Carolina wren, the chestnut stripes of the yellow warbler, and the white wing bars of the pine warbler, the yellow spots and white throat on a white-throated sparrow, and the streaking on a house finch, the crest and black mask of a northern cardinal, and the red shoulders of a red-winged blackbird. So what you're looking for is a unique detail that sets it apart from other birds. This is the hardest step and takes the most practice. You don't need to yell at me, it's okay. You are the smallest bird I've ever seen. How many of there are you? Are you trying to intimidate me? You're so small. Oh, is there a titmouse here now too? Hey, why are you joining the party? You guys are not being very nice, but I'll let it slide because you're cute. Yeah, you're being aggressive. Oh, where was I? Now that I've taught you all the steps, we're going to put into practice what we just learned on a few birds. I'm going to start out easy and get a little bit harder. Here is our first bird. Starting off with size and shape. So obviously you can't tell how big this is from a photo, but in person I could gauge that it was probably about robin sized on the scale. But the shape was definitely more slender than a robin. Robins are quite plump and this bird was pretty slim. And if you're looking for more advanced tips, you can also note the shape of the tail here. This is a very square shaped tail. It's not rounded or pointed at all. And you can also note that the bill shape is pretty slim and pointy, and his head is kind of rounded and puffy. He's also got a bit of a slouchy posture, but obviously those are more advanced tips and you can just stick with the slim robin-sized bird. Next, we're going to do the general colors, and this bird is easy because it's only 2 colors and they have clearly defined areas. The back is blackish and the belly is white. Next is where is it? And again, since this is a photo, you can't see everything, so I'm going to tell you. This is in front of a small marshy pond, and this bird is sitting on a dead branch out in the open, very easy to see. After that, we'll notice what it's doing. Another thing that's a bit hard to do with a photo. So basically, he was perched on the branch, and he kept flying out, catching an insect, and then coming back to land. Sometimes he'd land on other branches, but they were usually easy to see and out in the open. And finally, we'll look at the important details. These are the field marks that we talked about. This bird really only has one, and it is the key to identifying it. It's the white band at the bottom of the tail. So to recap, we have a slender, robin-sized bird with a black back and a white belly. It's sitting in a tree right by a marshy pond and darting out and then landing again. And it's got a white tip to its tail. Now you could take this list and use your field guide to look this bird up, and you'll find that it's an eastern kingbird. When identifying birds with a field guide, I usually flip through the book until I see a bird that looks like the one that I saw. Then I'll look at the range map and make sure it's in my area, and after that I'll look at the write-up and see if the rest of the information fits. For a bird like this, you're able to skip over certain sections like birds of prey and shorebirds. And if you take the time to become really good at identifying birds, you'll be able to tell right away that this bird is a member of the flycatcher family. It has a very distinct flycatcher silhouette. The slouchy posture, the bobblehead, the bill, this bird is very much a flycatcher. But that's for when you're getting really good at this, don't worry about that right now. And we're moving on to our intermediate bird. Starting with size and shape, this bird was small. On the yardstick scale, I'd say this was about the size of a sparrow, maybe smaller. Shape-wise, it's very small and petite. And if you're looking for an advanced tip, then look at the bill. It's very thin and pointy. Next, we'll look at the general colors of this bird. Yellow is obviously the color that comes to mind when you look at this bird. In this photo, you can't really tell what color the bird's back is, and sometimes that's going to happen. You're not always going to be able to see everything, and that's okay. Just note what you can see. Next is, where is it? This bird was in the branches of a tree on the edge of my yard. For an advanced tip, you can also note whether the tree was deciduous or evergreen, and if you really know trees, you could note what species of tree it is, but this is not necessary. And next, we'll notice what it's doing. This bird was hopping along branches, and it looked like it was looking for insects. After that, we'll note the important details, and I will say that there are 4 field marks you can note in this bird. The most important thing to note here is the chestnut cap. But you can also see that it has white spots on the lower half of its tail. The other 2 things you can note here are the chestnut streaking on the chest and the yellow eyebrow. These last 2 things can be harder to spot, and they might be impossible if you don't have a camera or a binoculars to see this bird up close. If I didn't have a camera, I probably wouldn't have even seen these last 2 field marks myself. But I would have noted the chestnut cap and the white spots under the tail. So don't be hard on yourself, you're doing great. Anyways, let's recap. We have a little sparrow-sized yellow bird that's hopping along the branches of a tree looking for insects. It has a chestnut cap and white spots on the underside of the tail. If you're more advanced, you probably noted the thin pointy bill, the chestnut stripes, and the yellow eyebrow. As soon as I saw this bird, I knew it was either a warbler or a vireo. The size, the shape of the body and the bill, and the bright colors all point towards being a warbler or a vireo. And the behavior, because most warblers and vireos spend their time looking for insects in trees and foliage. But don't worry, even if you didn't know what this bird was right away, flipping through your field guide, you should be able to find the bird that fits the description. It's a breeding male palm warbler. And I will note that this bird wasn't quite in the right habitat, which is something that happens sometimes because birds have free will. But it was migration season, and birds can spend time in areas that are not normal for them during migration. And also, the rest of the description matched up. We're going to move on now to our difficult bird. Starting out with size and shape, this bird was about robin size, and there's nothing too notable about the shape of this bird. It's songbird shaped and a little bit chunky, but otherwise nothing that stands out too much. If you're looking for an advanced tip here, you can look at the shape of the bill. It's pretty triangular and big, but it's also still very pointy. Next, we'll look at the general colors. This bird is obviously pretty brown overall, but you'll also want to note that it's mixed in with this light creamish color. And where is it? This bird is in some reeds along the edge of a very small pond. Next, we'll notice what it's doing. This bird was hopping through the reeds and boldly yelling at me. After that, we'll look at the important details, and there's a reason that I picked this bird as the hard one. What are the field marks on this bird? It's important to note that it's streaked all over, and it's kind of got this light colored eyebrow. But there are a lot of streaked birds. I mean, pretty much every sparrow you see. Sometimes the field marks aren't enough. They're not different enough from other birds to clearly identify the species. That's why we have to bring in all the other information we collected. So it's streaked dark brown and cream. But it's robin size. It's in the reeds by a pond and it's hopping around in the reeds, scolding me. Now, most of the streaked birds that I can think of are shorebirds and sparrows. Most shorebirds have long legs and spend their time running around along the edge of the water, so it's probably not a shorebird. Most sparrows are smaller than a robin, hence their spot on the yardstick scale, so it's probably not a sparrow. One of the real keys to this bird is the behavior, aka notice what it's doing. It's hopping around in the reeds, but it's right out in the open, not afraid to be seen, and it's yelling at me. Most sparrows are ground birds, and they're usually pretty secretive. If they spot you, they're gonna run under a bush and try to quietly get away from you. This bird is bold and not afraid. Let's take a look at the shape of the body and the bill one more time. It kind of matches another bird that's also hopping around in the reeds and yelling at me, a red-winged blackbird. And it matches because this is a female red-winged blackbird. It's important to note that males and females of the same species can look completely different. The size, behavior, and location were key to identifying this bird. So now you know the method and we put it into practice. This might seem overwhelming, especially when you learn that birds come in all different plumages. Male, female, non-breeding male, non-breeding female, juvenile, and even male juvenile and female juvenile. That's why a field guide is super helpful, because it will have all the plumages for a species right there together. So as I said, this might seem super overwhelming, but my advice to you is one step at a time. After 7.5 years of treating my field guide like a Bible, there are still birds I fail to ID. There are still birds that land in front of my face and my mom says, "What is it?" And I have to go, "I don't know." And I will say there is one tip that's going to make you really, really good at identifying birds. Take your field guide and read through it every morning as you choke down your breakfast because it's the worst meal of the day. And after a few months, you'll probably be able to identify birds the first time you see them. I know this from first-hand experience. That's how I learned to identify birds. Anyways, I hope this video helps you, and if it doesn't, I tried. I really did try my best, and I'm sorry that you are unteachable. Just kidding. Keep practicing. I believe in you, and I'll see you next time.